I moved from Australia to India about 8 months ago, and I always get asked if I get culture shock. The answer is yes. And I know if you're moving from India to Australia or many other countries to Australia, you're also going to get culture shock as well, because life is so different in every single way, I can't even explain it. And if you're an Indian national, for example, and you haven't been overseas before, going overseas, especially to a country like Australia, is going to shock the shit out of you, because life is almost the polar opposite in every single way. So in this video, I'm going to go through some of the ways that I manage my culture shock, and you can manage your culture shock too, just so that you're not like paralyzed when you first arrive, you know what I mean? You can actually get on with life and enjoy it and appreciate the differences. Now, firstly and importantly, expect that things will be different. In fact, expect that everything will be different, because things will be goddamn different, especially if you're moving from a country like India to a country like Australia. Everything's gonna be different. So expect that, know that. Don't think that things are going to be the same as home, with the same environment and the same social structures and the same expectations and the same social pressures. No, everything is going to be different. I don't know how to explain that more, but everything's going to be different. And I want you to have that expectations that when you land, when you step foot in that country, when you step foot in Australia, at least you're coming from a place where you expect things to be different and you're expecting the unexpected. That's the first piece of advice in avoiding culture shock or managing your culture shock, is to expect the unexpected, expect everything to be different, expect life to be different. Now, if you're preparing to go, what I want you to do is learn as much about the culture of the country you're going to before you go. You can watch some TV shows, you can watch some YouTube videos, you can start listening to the people speak. Even watching this video, if you're moving to Australia and you're listening to me speak, this is a great little transition, you know what I'm saying? I'm Australian, I'm living in India, but I'm speaking with my Australian accent. So if you're moving to Australia, maybe watching some of my videos is probably not such a bad idea. You start to get familiar with the Aussie accent, how I think, how I talk, how I behave. Those things are very different to Indian people. And so what I want you to do before you go is to start familiarizing yourself with the culture of the place that you're going to. Start learning about the culture, start understanding their norms, their behaviors, their social expectations, their social pressures. Can you research a little bit about this? Can you consume content from creators that live in that location? You're going to start preparing yourself and preparing your expectations for when you land in that country, and you are going to soften that cultural shock when you first arrive. Now, when you do arrive, something that's very important is to not hold judgment for the differences. There are going to be religious differences, social norm differences. There are going to be so many differences in the way people behave. And some of those things might be shocking for you. You might not believe what you're seeing. And you're going to a Western country, perhaps Australia, you're going to see men running in the street with no top on, women in very small outfits in their fitness wear. You're going to see almost naked people at the beach in the little Speedos. You're going to see all these things. And those things might be a shock at first, but what you need to practice is not holding judgment for those things. Those things are completely normal and completely fine in a country like Australia. They are not judged at all. Those actions are not judged. So what you need to practice as a foreigner, as a guest in the country, is to not judge the behaviors of the local people and the customs of the country that you're visiting. Embrace it. You don't have to join in if you don't want to. Of course, make sure you remain comfortable. You don't have to do anything you don't want to do, but try not to pass judgments onto the behavior and onto the culture of the country that you're visiting. Now, the last thing I would strongly recommend to avoid or manage your culture shock is to keep a familiar routine. If you're used to going to the gym in the morning and then heading to school and then maybe doing some work after school, these sorts of things, try to keep your routine as familiar and as similar as home as possible. Of course, this is not going to be perfect. You're not going to be able to keep the exact same routine as when you're at home and when you're in your home country, but try to keep as much of your routine as similar as possible to maintain that familiarity in your life. This is going to make a very big difference. This is something that helped me a lot. For example, I used to gym in the morning in Australia, and now I've kept that routine here in India. I make sure I still hit the gym every morning in India. It keeps me in check. It keeps me in the routine that I'm familiar with, and I know how to operate my life using that routine and using the gym to start my day. So that's one great example, and something that really, really helped me a hell of a lot when transitioning to India, which is a completely different lifestyle to Australia, of course, and help me manage that culture shock as well. So if you want to manage culture shock when you're moving overseas, there's some of the things I would do. Expect the unexpected. I would learn about the culture before you go there. I would practice not holding judgment to the behaviors of the new country you're going to, and I would try to keep as much of your routine as possible as similar to how it was in your home country. Hopefully that was helpful, ladies and gents. If it was, hit that subscribe button right now, and I will see you in the next video.